Good morning, y'all. Welcome to another video on the Luderco Arms channel. So this is going to be a short little video on changing the oil in your transfer case on a XJ Cherokee Jeep, or pretty much any vehicle using a new process transfer case. This one happens to be a NP242J. This and the 231s are basically the same thing. Just make sure that you put the right oil back in it. In this case, it takes Dextron 3, just like the transmission. Normally you do this, you only have to change the oil in the transfer case 30,000 miles or 2 years is what the book calls for. Most people go even longer than that. Or if you do a lot of four-wheeling and you get contamination in it, you might change it when you get it contaminated. It's a pretty easy job, so let's get to it. Let me get underneath here. So the reason I'm changing this oil is because I just put this transfer case in about a week ago, last weekend, and so we've been driving it all week. It's broke in, and I'm gonna just change the oil just in case there's any contaminants floating in the oil from the break-in period and wearing in everything from the rebuild. So on these transfer cases, you got two plugs. You got a drain plug here and a fill and check plug here, and to get those out, it's a 10 millimeter Allen wrench. Pretty easy to do. Of course, you'll want to have a drain pan. And that's what we wanted to see. No glitter. Oil looks good. Probably I could have just left this oil in there, but since you never know when you rebuild something how well it's going to work out, and you never know how much material you're going to get in the oil when you wear all your new bearings in and everything. Sometimes you get some contamination, so it's always better to go on and change the oil whenever you wear in something. So we'll go ahead and let that drain a little bit and remove the fill plug. These are pipe thread, which means it's tapered. So once you get it broke loose, they'll usually spin right out with your fingers, or an Allen wrench if you've got some pipe dope on them or something to seal them. So when I put them back in, I like to put some pipe dope or some RTV on the threads, just to make sure you don't get any leaking past the threads, because that can happen. I don't like leaks. So what I'm using is some Loctite 515. Now that's not Loctite thread locker. This is Loctite brand anaerobic sealant, or RTV. You can just use RTV if you want. Like I said, I just like to give it a little something to seal up them threads, so that don't have, oh man, any little drips. Now that rag's gonna be trash. So once you get done draining it, then you can put your plug back in. Back in the drain hole. And we'll go get our oil and get ready to fill it back up. So I'll be right back with that. Alright, now that I got the oil pan out of the way, we're ready to put oil back in it. So this thing takes Dextron 3 just like the transfer case does, or transmission does. And what I like to do, they make all kinds of little pumps and everything so you can put stuff in here, but I've found that when you buy your gear oil for your rear end, they have these little caps on them. I always save them once the bottles are empty, because that same cap will screw if you have a standard quart like this one. That same cap will screw right onto there, just like that. And then I can use that as a squeeze bottle and just squeeze the oil right in there. And of course, you know, it'll make all kinds of farting noises and such. So this thing takes 3 pints, which is 1.5 quarts, but you basically just fill it up till it reaches the bottom of this hole right here. So we got that first quart in. One thing, don't get a false reading. See how this is dripping right here? But that's just oil that I got in the threads. It's not actually filled up to the bottom of that yet. So let me grab my other bottle of oil. So using these little lids like I do, it leaves a little bit in the bottom of the bottle, and what I do is what you just saw me do. I just pour it into the next bottle before I use it. Since I use these quart bottles, and since this doesn't take this takes less than 2 quarts but more than 1, I always end up with some left over in the bottle anyways. Put some more in there. And when you get it full, you'll know it, because it'll start trying to pour out of there when you take the bottle out. So we're almost there, so I'm going to go ahead and put my sealant on my plug so it's ready to go, so I'm not fooling around dumping oil all over the floor. Ready, and we'll go ahead and fill this up till it starts backing out of there. Gotta get it in the hole, dummy. There we go. So now it's full. Stick our drain plug back in the hole, like so. Tighten it on down. Now remember, this is aluminum, so you don't want to get too rambunctious with your tightening, because you don't want to strip out the hole. And then wipe up your excess mess. And you're all done till next time. So I generally will change this, you know, if I go four-wheeling and I'm in a lot of water and deep mud, I'll change it. Otherwise, you know, every couple of years I'll change it. But I check it. I check the level in it every time I change my oil. There's not a lot of oil in that transfer case, and if you get a leak and leak all the oil out, it's not going to take long before this thing explodes like a hand grenade. But if you keep it full of oil, you'll kind of prevent that from happening so much. And that's all there is to it. We are good to go. So hopefully this has helped somebody out or what have you, and appreciate y'all watching and supporting the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Y'all have a good one.